That was one of the main reasons that I wrote this, was because there was a commonality in their predictions about end times. About end times, chastisement, ball of fire from the sky, great deluge, a chastisement worse than the great deluge.
Oh my gosh!
I know it's Blessed Elena Aiello said this. Days of darkness. A number of them talk about days of darkness. In fact, the 3 days of darkness, if you Google it, the first thing that pops up is a Wikipedia entry, and it attributes the 3 days of darkness to Blessed Anna Maria Taigi from the 70s.
She was a stigmatist, right?
She was a stigmatist. I didn't know she was a stigmatist. I didn't know it until I didn't remember how I came about noticing it. I think I was doing research on how many of them predicted 3 days of darkness, days of darkness. Sister Elena Aiello was told 70 hours of darkness, and there could be a mistranslation. I wonder if it's like 72.
Right.
Either way, 70 is going to feel like 3 days.
Yeah, right.
Basically is, right.
Close enough. Faustina Kowalska talks about days of darkness. She doesn't specify the number is 3, but she talks about days of darkness. And she's the one that was told, so she's the first saint of the new millennium, canonized by John Paul
in 2000.
In 2000, and she was told by Jesus, "You will prepare the world for my second coming." And he tells her there will be this period of darkness, and the only thing that will penetrate the darkness will be the sign of the cross in the sky, right? And from Jesus, I'm kind of picturing from the wounds of Jesus emanating from the sky, almost like you see the wounds of Jesus on the cross at San Damiano with Francis.
Yeah, the rays.
The rays,
penetrate,
exactly. San Giovanni Rotondo Chapel with Padre Pio. With Catherine of Siena, that's right there. She's receiving that in Siena.
Invisible wounds in her case, right?
Right. Yeah, my son Mitch was at that exact. He sent me a picture of that cross at that church in Siena.
Oh my
cool.
goodness, that must have been amazing.
I've wanted to go to Siena.
Yeah, it was that Jesus on the cross that the rays came out and pierced them. Faustina, the same way, it's the Divine Mercy image. But in the Divine Mercy, really image of images in the end times, it will be that those rays of light coming from the sign of the cross in the sky that illuminates the world and breaks the darkness. So all of these people had these days of darkness prophecies. A really cool one that I lead the last chapter with, Anne Catherine Emmerich. Who lived from 1774 to 1824. I think she was 49 when she died, and she was told that that the devil had been chained to the floor of hell. By the way, that's in the Book of Revelation.
Yeah. Yep.
So Protestants will know that. It talks about the devil being chained to the floor of hell and then being let loose at some point. And Anne Catherine Emmerich said the devil would be chained to the floor of hell, and at a period 50 to 60 years before the year 2000. Now, they hardly ever give dates, right? They hardly ever give dates. The 3 days of darkness is coming, end time. They never give dates.
They never say when.
They never say when, but she doesn't give an exact date, but she says 50 to 60 years before 2000, the devil will be unleashed to basically wreak havoc, wreak hell. Now, that would be 1940 to 1950.
Which,
World War II, Mao Zedong.
Exactly.
The Soviets.
Yeah. Deadliest war in history, World War II. Dwarfs World War I in deaths. That ends, you get peace. No,
Margaret Sanger in America. Yeah, sorry.
Yeah. Well, abortion, starts to, the sexual revolution. The Iron Curtain descends, right, 1945, 46, 47. The Chinese Civil War, 46 to 49. Mao and the communists take over, October 1949. That's the biggest killing field in history, next to, even above Stalin. So that's all 1940 to 1950. How in the world could this German nun who's bedridden in the year 1820 have any idea? You talk about nailing a prophecy.
Yeah, right.
That's incredible. And people will say, well, her stenographer, this Clemens Bretano, he exaggerated a lot of this stuff. He was a writer. I think maybe she didn't make it all up, but he surely did. Well, I'll tell you what, if he made up that one, man,
he's pretty good.
To him.
Too,
Round
right?
to the nearest apocalypse.
Let's canonize him. It's pretty good.
Yeah, seriously. That's kind of crazy that, I would think that prophecy is one gift and the stigmata is another, but it seems like most of these stigmatists also have prophecy.
Well, and it would, and this is what compels me to take their prophecies seriously, is the fact that they're stigmatists.
Right? It's a confirmation.
It's one thing if your neighbor...
It's a stamp of approval.
Yeah, on Garden Avenue, right? He's out cutting his grass, and, you guys walk by, and he's like, hey, Sam, I've been talking to the Virgin Mary back by the fire pit, right?
Sure,
You go
bud.
home and tell your dad, it's like, hey, I think Jim down here is really losing it. He thinks he's talking to the Virgin Mary by the fire pit.
We do have some neighbors who smoke pot, so that's what I was saying.
But if Jim suddenly starts bleeding from his hands and his feet, and word gets around, and the priest is there, and wow, they're sending people from Rome to Jim's house. Doctors
There's
are
something
out there.
about it.
Everybody's been going on for a few years, and by the way, it happens like clockwork on Thursday, Friday.
Yeah,
It disappears
it's a little
on
weird.
Saturday. Right. Well, now I want to know what Jim's saying to the Blessed Virgin Mary.
Yes.
Right.
Yeah.
Now I'm going to take him seriously. I mean, if he starts bleeding from his hands,
Yeah, right.
Now he's got my attention.
Right. So maybe almost it's like the primary charism God is giving them is their visions or their prophecies, but the way he's proving to the world that those prophecies should be taken seriously is by leaving this stamp of approval, kind of like...
Right, a physical sign.
Yeah.
And if for those of us who live way after what some Protestants would say, the age of the miracles, right? With the first century, with the apostles, right? Here we are in 18, 19 centuries later. We need signs like that. And I would say, too, people say, well, why would he even do Fatima? Well, we need miracles. We need to see things like that. When I was an agnostic, I mean, I needed to see things like that to believe.
Yeah.
And I'm like doubting Thomas, right? I need to, put my fingers in the wounds and the hands.
Yeah.
And some people say, well, he was crucified through the wrists, not through the palms. Actually, Thomas says, unless I stick my fingers, right, in his hands.
Yeah.
Right?
Yeah.
So I not through his bony wrist.
Right.
But through his hands. So I like him, I need to see the actual signs for proof.